What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews. We've got a massive slate on the NBA. I've got 5 picks, which I've already put down, which I'm going to take you through today. If that sounds interesting, let's go.
Sub to the channel because your boy's getting busy. Coming to your line from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice and the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.
Before we jump into today's picks, we do have to recap the last video. I did share 3 bets on that one-game slate. We go 2-1 on those. Not the best, but not the worst day either. We got out of it in the green. VIP did finish 0.94 units ahead. Went very light. Enjoyed the spectacle of these NFL games. NFL 1.5 units up. NBA 0.5 units down. Didn't cash any value plays, unfortunately. Let's talk about it. Donovan Klinger was our only loser of the day. Over 8.5 rebounds. Toying with our emotions, this man. 2 rebounds in the first half. Then he has 4 in the third quarter. I thought, we're a chance here. And then he barely played any game time in the fourth. He only played 20 minutes. It was a bad read. I expected a lot more than that. My bad if you tailed that one. We cashed from Jalen Williams over 20.5 points. Pretty easy. Isaiah Hartenstein over 10.5 boards. That happened the way I expected to. Not sweat free. I was a little bit nervous for a little bit of it. And on the NFL, AJ Brown hit on his over on the longest reception. That happened very early in the game. Khalil Shakir, 6+ receptions. I did ladder him up to 7. Had 5 at halftime and only finishes on 6. My goodness. But here's some of the picks I sent out to VIP. They're the winners on Hartenstein and Jalen Williams, AJ Brown, and Khalil Shakir. Got him at plus money as well. So I'll take that. And part of the reason why I'm showing you that is I've seen the comments. Some people are like, this guy only bets $1 on his plays. Like, if you've been in VIP or you're on Winnable, I am not betting $1. The $1 on those screenshots indicate that I'm playing 1 unit. So just to be clear on that one. But we've got a massive set today. I've got tons of value plays. I've got a whole lot of picks on there. So if you're interested in signing up to VIP, use the code DAMETIME and you'll get 29% off forever. It's the first time I've already run a promotion, ever run a promotion like this. Usually it's a discount on the first month or whatever it is. This discount code will last forever if you sign up and use it. This code will also expire in the next 24 hours. So go ahead and check that out. I'll leave a link to that in the pinned comment below. But enough about that stuff. Let's get into these picks, shall we? Let's go. Jumping into Props Madness the way that we always do. This is the best tool you're going to find if you like betting on NBA player props. I encourage you guys to check it out. 7-day free trial. Use the link in the pinned comment. Plus, you get 25% off if you use the code DAFT when you sign up. Head to propsmadness.com and check this one out. 5 bets for you guys. What do we have first? Heading to the Lakers versus the Hornets. And in this game, I'm looking at Anthony Davis. I'm taking the brow. It's been a minute since I've bet on him, but I do like his matchup today. And I'm taking him for over 12.5 rebounds. Now, AD's only hit this in 12 out of 27 games this season. The hit rate is not fantastic, but that's the roller coaster of betting on Anthony Davis. The Hornets present an excellent matchup for Anthony Davis today. They lack centers, really. The outside of Mark Williams, they've got nobody. 8 of the last 12 players have very similar to Anthony Davis have crushed this line, an 11% difference over their closing line from Vucevic, Duran, Vucevic, Valanciunas again, Mobley twice, and Adebayo. These guys have been crushing their lines against the Charlotte Hornets as of late, and I'm looking for Anthony Davis to do the same. We've got a 6-point spread in this one. By no means is this going to be a blowout. Well, I don't think it will be. I don't usually back the Lakers to cover the spread against anybody. I think the Hornets should be able to hang with them. Anthony Davis should get his full complement of minutes here. I do like his opportunity to get some boards. For my next pick, heading over to the Pelicans versus the Toronto Raptors. Going with your favorite thick boy, and I'm taking Zion Williamson today. I do like his points. I do like his rebounds. So I'm taking them both. Taking him over 28.5 points and rebounds. The odds for this are pretty good. -105 on DraftKings if you can get it there. Now let's talk about him. Now Zion, he's only hit this in 5 out of 11 games. Since he's come back from injury, he's only hit this twice. But it just happens to be his last 2 games. His last 2 games, he had pretty soft matchups, and he's starting to eat them alive. 38 and 39 points and rebounds in his last 2. Now Zion, he's projected to play 28 minutes, which is pretty much his cap right now. So if we just look at the game since his return from injury, changes to the last 5 to see what the hell Zion's been up to. So in those 5 games, he's averaging 31.2 points and rebounds despite only hitting him twice. Zion's got a great matchup to score some points today against the Raptors. Let's take a look. 1, he's getting to the free throw line a lot. This Raptors team allow the most free throws in the league. 2, scoring in isolation. That's 18% of his buckets. Raptors are bottom 10. He scores in transition. The Raptors are bottom 10 for that as well. Pretty much all of Zion's ways to score The Toronto Raptors are below average. So I'm loving Zion to get some buckets here. Looking at the shot zones, we know Zion likes to get around the bucket. 54% of his points are scored around the bucket. 42% of them are still in the paint as well. So we're looking at 96% of Zion's points are in the paint. And if we look at the Toronto Raptors, they give up the 7th most points around the basket. And in terms of points in the paint allowed, they are bottom 10 in the league. So Zion should have a good matchup here to get some points. Similar types of players to Zion Williamson, they've had the tremendous success against the Toronto Raptors. Take a look. 12 out of 15 of these guys have covered their line against the Toronto Raptors. The only one to go under 2 Jason Tatum games, and he sucks half the time anyway, and Jalen Johnson. Outside of that, everybody's been eaten. If you're going to attack the rack, then the Raptors is where you want to go to. So Zion, I do like his ability to score some points here, cover his line. Looking at his rebound prop, line's at 6.5. He's averaging 9 rebounds per game since he's come back, and he's got a very good matchup to get some boards here as well. Over their last 15 games, the Toronto Raptors are allowing the 8th most rebounds to power forwards. And if we take a look at similar types of players, again, they've had a lot of success against this Toronto Raptors team, who is a little bit small. So Zion should have no problems getting some boards here. He's been rebounding like a beast, and he needed to. He's been doing his best, but he's undersized at the center spot. So Zion doing some heavy lifting here, and I like his rebounds prop as well. It is pretty juiced to the over, which is why I'm taking the points and the rebounds here, but Zion should have a very big game. Let's go, my thick boy. For my third pick, we're heading to the Washington Wizards versus Dallas Mavericks, and I'm going with Daniel Gafford here. This might be a popular play, but it makes a ton of sense, and I'm not going to go away from it. I do like Daniel Gafford to get a lot of points. I like him to get a lot of rebounds. So very similar to Zion. We're running them both together. Taking his over in points and rebounds. I got this at 25.5. It is moving quick, probably at 26.5 by the time you guys watch this. Will I still take it at that number? The answer is yes. So firstly, for Daniel Gafford, we've got Luka's out, Najee Marshall's out, right? That doesn't impact his minutes at all. But Derek Lively, their starting center, is out. Maxi Kleber, their third center, is out. Dwight Powell, their fourth center, is out. So out of the 4 centers that they do have, Daniel Gafford is the last one left. They're going to be playing small. Some of these younger no-name guys might get a bit of a run, but Daniel Gafford should see a ton of minutes here. If we just look as a late, let's take a look at the games just without Derek Lively, who's probably the biggest impact to him. We can see he hasn't had tremendous success. He's hit this in only 4 out of 14 games, but minutes-wise, it's really starting to come on as of late. Once we hit January, this guy's been a beast. Looks like he'll play 30-plus minutes at least. Let me recheck his projections. So Daniel Gafford's projected to play 34 minutes in this game, which is the most he's ever played in this season. Let's just look at the games where he's played at least 30-plus minutes. And when Daniel Gafford plays 30-plus minutes, check it out. He's over this line in 4 out of 5 games, 33.6 points and rebounds per game. He also has a fantastic matchup. Like he's sunned a couple of these teams. Like against the Charlotte Hornets, 31 points, 15 rebounds. Against the Pelicans, 27 points, 12 rebounds. Very soft matchups, right? But is up against the Washington Wizards today. And this matchup is just as soft to the Washington Wizards. They allow the most rebounds in the league, the 5th most points in the paint. They've got the worst defensive rating. Centers have been feasting against them. They allow the most rebounds to centers in the league. And if you buy into that revenge stuff, then yeah, Daniel Gafford used to play for the Washington Wizards. So Daniel Gafford's got a great matchup. He's going to see a ton of minutes against his old team. I think he's going to feast today. We just look at his points. He's averaging 21.4 points per game when he plays at least 30 minutes. If you look at his rebounds, 12.2 rebounds per game when he plays at least 30 minutes. The worst game that he had was against the Denver Nuggets, and unfortunately he had to play against Nikola Jokic, which can be a somewhat difficult matchup for big guys. But overall, Washington Wizards, they got Valanciunas, Alex Sarr, and nothing for Gafford. I think he's going to dunk the ball a lot tonight. I think he has a massive game. I like his over 25.5 points and rebounds, but you could really go for his points. You can go for his rebounds. I'll leave it up to you. Daniel Gafford really should eat in this game. Talking about big boys and eating, we're heading over to the Denver Nuggets versus the Chicago Bulls, and I'm going with Nikola Vucevic. No, that's a lie. Nikola Jokic. My bad. Get these Europeans mixed up sometimes. So taking a look at Nikola Jokic, his points-wise been somewhat inconsistent, but throughout January, he's been a beast. The whole Denver Nuggets team, I think they're the hottest team in January, 10-4, something like that. But the Denver Nuggets are rolling right now. Nikola Jokic obviously has a lot to do with it. So what's the bet that I'm playing here? I'm playing Nikola Jokic to get a triple-double. I got this at like minus 115, I think. Odds probably moved after I sent it out. But not because I sent it out. Just want to make that clear. But I am taking Nikola Jokic for a triple-double. If you wanted to, you could just do a same-game parlay, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. You should get similar type of odds. But let's talk about it. He's up against the Chicago Bulls today. The Bulls are awful. They allow the second most assists. They allow the second most rebounds. They allow the most points in the paint. They play at one of the fastest paces in the league. They allow the second most three-pointers. They allow the most points in the paint, most points above the break. Like, my goodness. Is this a G League team or what? But Nikola Jokic, I think he hits a triple-double before the end of the third quarter. It's just one of those games. I think he plays at least 30 minutes, probably no more than 35. It's an 8.5-point spread, but the Denver Nuggets should be able to put them away nice and early. And in these games, when the Denver Nuggets are dominant, it all has to do with Nikola Jokic. There was one game out of this whole month where Jamal Murray was an absolute monster. Outside of that, everything's been Jokic, where he's pretty much getting a triple-double in the third quarter. And I'm backing him to do the same thing today. His assist line's at 10.5, rebounds line at 13.5. Soft-ass matchup against the Chicago Bulls. Points-wise, 27.5 seems quite high. I feel like the only way he covers that is if he plays a ton of minutes, and he probably doesn't do that. So if anything, I'll lean to his under in his points. But provided he gets more than 10 points, I'm happy. I'm taking Nikola Jokic to get a triple-double. It's as simple as that. Hopefully, he does it by the end of the third quarter. And for my last pick, jumping into the Houston Rockets versus the Boston Celtics, and I'm taking Thompson. I do like his over today. And I'm taking it over 9.5 rebounds. If the odds get pretty ass for this, you might want to look at a double-double or something like that, because I think Thompson can have a big game. Now, the key thing when you look at here, Thompson and the Houston Rockets, right now, you just got to look at the numbers without Jabari Smith out, because a lot of people have seen increased opportunities, whether it's volume, minutes, rebounds, you name it. Pretty easy to read the data post the Jabari Smith injury. Now, since he got injured, Thompson, he's hit this line of 10 rebounds in 6 out of 9 games, 11.8 rebounds per game. He's projected to play 39 minutes, pretty much the whole game. So he's going to see a stack of minutes here, provided they don't get blown out. It is a 6.5-point spread against the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics definitely capable of blowing this Houston Rockets team out, and they've already done that before, but I doubt that happens in back-to-back games. So Thompson, why else do I like his rebounds here? When I think about the matchup and how teams play, the Boston Celtics, somewhat predictable in what they're going to do. They pretty much run a 5-out offense most of the time, which does make it very difficult for centers like your Şengün's to get rebounds, which means a lot of wings are going to find some success, especially those who are lingering on the weak side. A lot of wings will get a lot of rebounds against them, and that's exactly what Thompson is. So I think he gets a ton of boards here. What I also like about it is in 2 matchups last year against the Boston Celtics, Jabari Smith Jr. was playing in those games, I believe, but check this out. 2 games against them, he had 10 and 14 rebounds. In these games, he only played 25 and 32 minutes, and he was able to cover this line. He's projected to play 39 minutes in this game. If I apply some hood math and break down his rebounds per minute played, based off these numbers, he should get about 16 rebounds. And that's not how sports betting works. And I don't think he gets 16 rebounds today. But what I'm saying is he's playing more minutes than he played against them last year. He's rebounding like a beast now. You could only assume at his young age, he's only improved on his abilities this year. I think he can get us 10 rebounds today. I really do. So I like an Thompson to get more than 10 boards in this game against the Boston Celtics. I don't care what the numbers and the data says. He's been hitting it well as of late. The matchup, if you look at it, isn't probably ideal. But if you think about how the game's going to go, I think Thompson is going to get it done today. Boston Celtics don't really have a high usage rate, guys, meaning like if you think about Carmelo Anthony when he played, they don't have anyone like that. Tatum will take a turn. Brown will get a turn. Porzingis gets a crack. White, Pritchard dump threes from all over the joint. Like everyone's going to get some shots here. So it's not like Thompson is always going to be defending the person taking the shot. So I think he's going to have a lot of opportunity to get some boards in this game. So Thompson over 10 rebounds is my 5th and final pick for y'all. Pumping the brakes real quick to ask you guys to like the video, subscribe to this new channel because the old one is temporarily paused. Hopefully to getting that back within the next week. I also ask that you leave me a comment down below. You can say absolutely anything. It gets this video out to more people. I have been reading the comments. You guys are absolutely wonderful. I've got to say it and say it again. The community that I've built here, doing this type of stuff on YouTube is amazing. A lot of you guys are approaching betting the right way. A lot of the comments, they just make a ton of sense to me. When bets lose, you understand why they lose. And I'm not getting roasted as much as I normally would. Like, I think we're all starting to think alike here. You can make the best bets possible, and believe it or not, they'll probably, some of them will still lose. Like, that is betting. You can make awful bets and still win. That's just the whole point of the whole thing. We are gambling at the end of the day. I think you do thorough research, place your bets. As long as you reflect on the things that have done, you understand things, you learn some lessons, you are going to get better over time. And I can tell through the comments, like, this journey that we're all going on, it's definitely working. I think you guys are looking and feeling a lot better around this whole betting space. I don't see too many people saying, you lost me $1,000 on this 12-leg parlay. Like, I'm not seeing that anymore, which is good. Preaching the same message on a consistent basis, and you guys are getting on board with it. So I just want to say thank you for everything that you guys do to support me and this channel and the old channel and everything that we do. Now, I did do my best to get all my research done as early as possible, knowing how big this slate was. I'll take you through a list of leans. What these leans are bets that I considered betting on but didn't bet on them. I'll tell you the reasons why I like it, the reasons why I didn't bet it. There's always a chance that I can talk myself into betting it again. That happens time and time again. So let's get to it, eh? Let's get to these leans. Let's go. All right, the first one we're going to talk through is between the Detroit Pistons and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I thought long and hard about this one as Cade Cunningham. And I was really looking at his points prop here. So I've already got the filter done here for games without Jaden Ivey. Without Jaden Ivey in the lineup, he's hit this line in 9 out of 15 games, 27.8 points per game. His matchup is not the greatest. Cleveland pretty good at limiting points in the pick and roll. They don't give up too many points to free throws. And they don't give up points above the break. So that's going to be a somewhat difficult matchup here for Cade. His numbers are looking great on the season. And he did have a great game against Cleveland earlier this year, last year, this season, in October. Scored 33 points against them, 14 from 24. But a lot of people are probably going to bet on Cade Cunningham because of his form. If we just look at his recent form, it's been pretty good. But I tend to think that first game against Cleveland was a bit of an outlier. I think he overperformed in that game, and I don't think that's something you can really bank on moving forward into this one. Yes, he did score 32, 29, and 35 points in his last 3 games. The Rockets and the Magic, they are better defensive teams, but the way that those teams play defense forces players like Cade Cunningham to score points. The Houston Rockets, they'll let him play one-on-one with anybody. They're not going to double. They're not going to leave shooters, right? The Atlanta Hawks do not play defense at all. That's not their thing. And the Orlando Magic, they're a good defensive team, but they give up a ton of points in the pick and roll, and they also stay home with shooters. This Cleveland team is a little bit different, a little bit more versatile defensively. They're just as good, and I don't know if Cade Cunningham's going to be able to get the volume and the quality of shots to cover his points prop today. So I did consider it, but I was like, nah, we ain't doing this. The next one I wanted to talk through is in the Sacramento Kings versus the Brooklyn Nets. And I was strongly considering betting on this man, Keegan Murray, today. I was looking at his over 11.5 points. The reason behind this is that the Nets, they do allow the 3rd most threes and the most points to power forwards. When I looked at Fox and Monk, they both have somewhat difficult matchups to score some points. His Brooklyn team limits points in the pick and roll better than anybody else, which forces them to find shooters, spot-up shooters like Keegan Murray. That's why a lot of these players tend to do so well. If we just take a look at the matchup here, we can see he scores 37% of his points in the spot-up. The Brooklyn Nets allow the 4th most points to that. He scores 27% of his points in transition. The Brooklyn Nets allow the 5th most points in that. You also look at this, similar types of players. They have similar profiles to Keegan Murray. They've gone over this line in 7 out of 8 games against the Brooklyn Nets. They're overperforming by 30% compared to their closing line. Like, these numbers are crazy. So what I'm basically calling out here is that Keegan Murray has a fantastic matchup. Really want to bet on this. I really do. My only concern, and this is the risk in it all, the Kings have Fox, Monk, DeMar, and Sabonis all available in this game, and we know that those 4 are always going to eat first. Regardless of how tough the matchup is, everything's going to go through them. I can't guarantee that Keegan Murray is going to see the volume that we need to see in order to cash this line. Another thing that supports this bet is that he scored 21 points against the Brooklyn Nets in November. But in that particular game, Malik Monk was missing. So Keegan Murray gets bumped up to the 4th option, really. Now, with all of them healthy, is Keegan Murray going to see the volume and the looks that he needs to cover this line? That I'm not 100% sure on. I might be able to twist my own arm into getting this to happen. So these are all of his games, his last 27 games with the 4 in there. maybe if we look at similar types of matchups, let's go teams that don't defend the spot up very well, and that teams that don't defend above the break. Actually, that's incorrect because the Brooklyn Nets do defend above the break quite well. So the hit rate is not great. And this is the thing with betting. You can't always rely on hit rates, right? Like Nikola Jokic, that game against the Kings, I talked myself out of it because of the hit rates when I knew the matchup was fantastic. With Keegan Murray, you could just look at this and just clear all these filters. And like the hit rate doesn't necessarily matter because how good the matchup is. That's what I'm thinking. Like if you looked at his numbers, he's up and down. So yeah, I'm just a bit on the fence about it. But Keegan Murray does have a fantastic matchup. And players just like Keegan Murray have absolutely murdered the Brooklyn Nets this season. I'll leave it with that. If you do like it, take the bet. If not, you do what I did and just sit on the fence. We'll see. It might be something that I pick up on game day. I might watch the market to see if this line moves up or down. We'll see if we can get some value out of it. But Keegan Murray, over 11.5 points. I do like it. I just haven't placed that bet yet. The next bet that I do want to talk you through, well, it's a lean, is between the Denver Nuggets and the Chicago Bulls. I think Nikola Vucevic, not Jokic, Nikola Vucevic rebounds and assists is probably going to be a popular play. And I get it. The hit rate is fantastic, right? He's got a pretty good hit rate on most of his props. But the bet that I was considering here for Nikola Vucevic is over 3.5 assists. The first thing I'll say about this, it's a plus money play. Plus money always gets me a little bit excited. For those of you who watch this channel, you know that. I'm easily excited, and getting aroused is one of my things to do. Over 3.5 assists. He's hit this in 4 consecutive games. That helps. Means he's been hitting it recently. But the matchup here is fantastic. The Denver Nuggets allow the most assists to centers. They allow the most assists overall. They allow the third most points in the paint. They allow a ton of 3-point attempts. They play with a lot of pace, which means they're a really good team to bet against. And for Nikola Vucevic to get 4 assists in a matchup like that, I think it's a good one. If we just take a look at this, these are all the different centers that the Denver Nuggets have played against since the start of the season. And we can see here 11 out of 14 of these suckers who had an assist line managed to go over them, which is a 28% difference above their closing line. So the matchup is absolutely brilliant. For those of you who watch who are in VIP, like I bet on Rudy Gobert to go over his points and assist prop is purely because of this. A lot of teams tend to target Jokic, not because he's the weak link per se, but to keep him busy, keep him active, and tire him out. So they run a lot of handoff action around him. And I think the Bulls can do exactly that. Vucevic could be another center to chalk up a ton of assists against Nikola Jokic. So I'm strongly considering the 3.5 at plus money. Or I'm considering playing it up to 5 so I can stake a little bit less. But I do like it. The only thing that worries me is the blowout. 8.5 point spread. But like I said, this Denver Nuggets team is hot right now. This Bulls team are just finding ways to lose most of the time. So can't necessarily trust them. Will Nikola Vucevic get his minutes? So that's the main concern that I have with that one. Heading over to the Atlanta Hawks versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. I've got quite a few leans in this one. The first one I want to talk you through is this. Vit Krejci. Now, Vit Krejci, I was looking at over 9.5 points for him. Now, the Atlanta Hawks have got a ton of injuries. Trae Young's out. Jalen Johnson's out. DeAndre Hunter's a game-time decision. Risa Shea is a game-time decision. Larry Nance a game-time decision as well. They're pretty much missing a lot of their guys. So, Krejci, he's projected to play 35 minutes in this game. That's the most he's played in any game this season. But if we just look at games where he's played at least 30 minutes, he's played 4 of those suckers. And in those games, 12.8 points per game, doing quite well. 3 out of the 4, his assists, not bad, rebounds, yada, yada, yada. But 9.5 points is the main one that I was looking at. He's going to see a ton of minutes. He should see the volume as well. Well, he should see the volume. I do say that. My only concern is that the matchup is awful. So to spot up shooters, he'll get limited. In transition, it's a somewhat difficult matchup. And this part is interesting here. The pick and roll ball handler. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they allow the 12th most points of the pick and roll ball handlers in the league. Now, Krejci, yes, he scores 40% of his points as a spot-up shooter on the season. But I can almost guarantee you, with no Trae Young in the lineup, no Jalen Johnson in the lineup, you're going to see this man in a lot more pick and roll actions, which is a weaker point of the Minnesota defense. So I think there is a world where Krejci can get this done. My other concern is that his assist prop, that's at 5.5. There is a world for Krejci where he prioritizes playmaking because obviously Atlanta don't have any. So they could see a little bit of that as well. To counter that, I think the points plus assists could be a good one. I've talked myself into it. This initially was a lean. Now I'm talking myself into it. So my original risk was the reason why I didn't take this. I don't know if he's going to score or whether he's going to dime up because his role is going to be different in this game. But if you take points and assists, the hit rate's still great. It allows room for both. Don't mind that. 17.8 points and assists. Matchup is difficult, right? That's the other risk. But, which I've just talked you through, I doubt we see him sitting in the corners the way he normally does. I think without Trae Young and Jalen Johnson, we're going to see Krejci in a lot more pick and roll ball handler situations. Now, I'm strongly considering this bet, but I'm not going to place it right now. The first thing I want to do is I want to watch some game film, some tape. I want to see what's happening in these games when Trae Young and Jalen Johnson aren't there. There was only one game, and in that game, that was against the Chicago Bulls, I believe. And in that game, Krejci only played 29 minutes, but he scored 17 points, and he got 6 assists. So he covered both of these suckers. And look at that, 15 potential assists. That's massive, right? And he took 10 shots as well. So points and assists, I think they can both be a wave here. But yeah, I'm going to look at the clips of Krejci from this particular game and see exactly what he's doing. But I think there might be an angle here for this guy, and not many people are going to be betting on it. The other look I had in this game was for Naz Reid. And I was looking at over his points or over his three-pointers made prop, pretty much because this Atlanta Hawks team doesn't play defense at all. They allow the most points above the break. He scores 39% of his points above the break. The last time he played Atlanta, he scored 23 points. He was 3 from 10 from deep. He took 19 shots. So looking for Naz Reid to do something similar, not even similar, right? We need 14 points in order to cash his pick. Now, my only risk for this one is that I highly doubt that Naz Reid plays that good again. It's clear that in this particular game, he played more minutes than he normally would, took more shots than he normally would. Julius Randle probably stunk up the joint in that game, and so did Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards probably plays better in this game against Atlanta. Naz Reid probably doesn't see the volume he saw in this game. I can almost guarantee it. He's not going to take 19 shots in this game. So we can assume that he's not going to play that good. But the matchup is still fantastic. Don't get me wrong. The matchup is great. The last time he played them, his line was 11.5, and he finished with 23 points. Now we're cashing a line of 13.5. The books are adjusting things over time. And I hate to say it might be right. I obviously still lean to the over, but just knowing he's not going to play as good makes me hesitate a little bit, I guess. The other lean that I have in a different game, what do we got here? Washington Wizards versus Dallas Mavericks, and it was on Jonas Valanciunas. And I was looking at taking his points or looking at his rebounds. Eventually, I just said, let's just look at both. Points and rebounds is what we're looking at here. And when I was looking at it, I was going to play this at 17.5. So it looks like this has been bet up. It's moved to 18.5 in most places. Now, Jonas Valanciunas, he's projected to play 19 minutes. He always does. That's pretty much his projection in every single game. The reason why I like Jonas Valanciunas in this matchup against Dallas, I spoke about it earlier when we went through the Gafford play. Daniel Gafford is the only true center that they have left. Valanciunas most likely going to be playing against someone a lot smaller than he is. So he's going to have a great matchup advantage, you could say. Size advantage, experience, all that type of good stuff. And if you've been watching Jonas Valanciunas, he can dominate in a very limited amount of time. Like, he can rack up the stats real quick. One thing that was interesting is he played Dallas on the 6th of December. In that game, it was a 36-point blowout. And even though he plays off the bench, when there's a blowout, he doesn't get more minutes. He's too old for that. So in this game, he only played 13 minutes. But in those 13 minutes, he had 9 points and 5 rebounds, pretty much averaging 1 point or rebound per minute. Well, more than that, really. And if he's projected to play 19 to 20 minutes in this game, you should be able to lock him down for 20 points and rebounds. And you could also argue that his matchup in this game is softer than it was in that previous game against Dallas when he had to battle against Lively and Gafford. Gafford's the only one left. So I think Jonas Valanciunas is a really interesting spot. The main risk in this play, and the reason why I didn't bet on it, though, is that the blowout risk, it's still there. Dallas, 12-point favorites in this game. Dallas playing quite good without Luka Doncic right now, so they could blow them out. And if they do blow them out, Jonas Valanciunas is probably not going to see the minutes needed to cover this line. But to move to 18.5, if it moves to 19.5, I'd stay away. I think at 18.5, if you get good odds for it, I think it's an interesting look. But I think Jonas Valanciunas, it could be a real sneaky spot. He could dominate against this much smaller opposition that he's about to face. So that's a wrap on today's video. I'm going to edit this thing and get it out to you all. If you're interested in checking out VIP, use the code DameTime. I'll leave a link for that in the pinned comment below. 29% off. That's to celebrate the 28 unit day we just had not too long ago. You get 29% off VIP forever. So go ahead and check that out. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I hope we green out, lads. Let's go.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to your line from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.